This video we will be reviewing multiplying with decimals using some word problems. The TEKS on this particular video and these particular problems are 5.3D and 5.3E. We will have some models that we're going to look at, but this will be pretty heavy on computation, but there will be some model problems in here as well. Alright, so number one, Monique drank 3.5 bottles of water yesterday. Each bottle contained 1.2 pints of water. What was the number of pints of water Monique drank yesterday? So on this one, we've got 3.5 bottles of water. Each bottle contains 1.2 pints. And our question statement was the number of pints of water that she drank. So pretty straightforward problem. Number of bottles, 3.5. 1.2 is our pints per bottle. And so to calculate this, I just need to figure what are the pints per bottle times the number of bottles, and that should give me the total pints. All right. 2 times 5 is 10, carry the 1. 3 times 2 is 6, plus 1 is 7. Placeholder down, 1 times 5 is 5, 1 times 3 is 3. Do my addition, 0 plus 0 is 0, 7 plus 5 is 12, and 1 plus 3 is 4. Got two numbers to the right of the decimal that I'm multiplying, so I need two numbers to the right of the decimal. My answer, when I write my final answer, I don't need this 0 in the hundredths place, so I can just write 4.2 pints. And I'm done. All right, Jeremy exercised 2.5 hours per day. 4 days last week. He burned 330 calories per hour. How many calories did he burn? So this one is going to require a little bit more from me, because to find the total calories that were burned, to find that number, I'm going to need the calories per hour, and I'm going to need total number of hours. And then I can multiply those. Now I already have the calories per hour, which is 330. What I don't have is the total number of hours. I've got 2.5 hours per day, 4 days last week. So, to find the total number of hours, I'm going to need let's do hours per day, and then I'm going to multiply that by number of days. That should give it to me. So for this, we've got 2.5 hours per day, 4 days last week, and that should give us my total hours. So 5 times 4 is 20, carry my 2, 4 times 2 is 8, plus 2 is 10. One number to the right of the decimal on my, when I'm multiplying, so one number to the right here. So my total number of hours is 10. 1 times 0 is 0, 1 times 3, 3, 1 times 3, 3. So Jeremy burned 3,300 calories. All right, next problem. Student Council is making spirit buttons for their group. There are 5 officers and 24 members. The materials to make the spirit buttons cost 79 cents per button. What is the total cost of the materials for the buttons? So on this one, to find my total cost, I'm going to need the cost per button. I need to multiply that by the number of buttons that I need. So my cost per button is given to me at 79 cents. But I'm going to have to figure this total number of buttons. Now this is where understanding how clubs and things like that at your school work really comes in handy, because some people will get confused and they'll just do 24 buttons because there were 24 members. But your officers are also part of the club. So my total number of buttons is going to be my members plus my officers, because the officers are going to want a button too. So that's 24 plus 5, which gives us 29. So now that I have my total number of buttons I need at 29, and my cost per button, 79 cents each, now I can do my multiplication. 9 times 9 is 81, carry the 1, 9 times 7 is 63, plus 8, 71, placeholder. 2 times 9 is 18, carry the 1, 2 times 7 is 14, plus 1 is 15. Got 2 numbers to the right of the decimal here when I'm multiplying, so my answer needs to have 2 numbers to the right of the decimal. This is a dollar amount, so make sure I label it that way. And then I can come over here and grid 2, 2, 9, 1. So it's going to cost $22.91. All right, on to number 4. So number 4 is a model question. Got some models we're going to look at here. This is a pretty simple, straightforward one. Reading multiplication models doesn't require much, because you're really just looking for those two elements of the two numbers in the problem. All right, so we used a model. We're using this to represent one whole. So each one of these little blocks is going to be 1/10. All right, which model represents 1.8 times 4? Now, with my 1 and 8/10 here, I know that that's going to be the model blocks, because that's where my decimal is. All right, so that's the first thing. So I'm looking for 1 and 8/10. Well, I've got 1 and 8/10 right here on F. I've got 1 and 8/10 here on G. Not here. I'm not sure what this is. And I've got 1 and 8/10 here. So I don't know what this is. This is just, I don't know if they thought 4 wholes, so plus 4 wholes. I don't know. Kind of the same thing with this. I don't know if they're, because this would actually be 1 and 8/10 plus 0.4, because here's my 1 and 8/10 and here's my 4/10. So that's not what's happening here, so that's not going to work. This would be 1 and 8/10 plus 4 wholes. So that's not going to work, because that's not what I'm doing here. So I'm really just left with these two. And when I'm looking for multiplication and division as well, I'm looking for these sort of divider bubbles. And so there's 4 of them in here. That's good. I need 4. There's 4 of them here. That's good. I need that. This, though, if I'm multiplying 1.8, that means I am replicating. I'm repeating it. I'm doing 4 of them. So H makes the most sense, because I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 1.8s. So here's a 1.8, here's a 1.8, here's a 1.8, here's a 1.8. Now the other thing that's not a bad idea to do, especially if you're checking, do the computation on this. Because that's not going to hurt anything just to do the computation. Because then you can very clearly see my answer should be 7 2/10. Well, I may not go through the effort of going and counting every single one of these blocks and making sure there's 72 of them, but that will very clearly tell me that answer choice J is not going to work. And answer choice J really isn't anything. These other two, F and G, they're at least some kind of an expression. This isn't anything, because this isn't even really a division problem. This is not 1.8 divided by 4. It is not that, because these four parts would have to be equal. So J is not really anything. All right, I'm going to leave it to you to write your explanation based on kind of what I've talked about and your own background knowledge. All right. Number 5 is another model question. Sarah mowed 9/10 of the front yard and raked 9/10 of the yard. The figure below represents the front yard. Probably a typo there. That should probably say front yard, just so we're completely clear. Which decimal represents the portion of the yard that Sarah both raked and mowed? So the model tells us basically that this is the mowed section and this is the raked section, not racked. That's what they did in medieval times to people that they didn't like. Raked section, there you go. And then this is the both, where we've got this gray overlap. So I know this is 0.9 because the problem tells me it's 0.9. I know this is 0.9 because the problem tells me that. And so what I can do then, if I know that this is 9/10 and this is 9/10, then basically I'm just finding the area of a square. And so I've got 0.9 times 0.9, which 9 times 9 gives me 81. Two numbers to the right of the decimal, and what I'm multiplying, so my answer choice, or my answer has to have two numbers to the right of the decimal, and that's it. Now I can go through and actually count this, where I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I could go ahead and make sure that there's actually 81 little hundredths blocks in there, but that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Now, incidentally, you'll see this sometimes with the area models for just for basic multiplication beyond even with decimals. All right, on to number 6. Tanya spent $4.35 on lunch each day at school for 3 weeks. What is the amount of money Tanya spent on lunch for those 3 weeks? So this one, I need to know total dollars spent. And the way I'm going to find total dollars is because it gives me the cost each day. So I'm going to have to take the cost each day and multiply it by the number of days. The problem is I don't know how many days it was. It doesn't just come out and tell me. I'm going to have to kind of do some figuring here. So we've got 3 weeks here, and I need it in days. So I'm going to have to take the number of weeks, multiply it by days per week. And I've got to keep in mind too that I'm at school. So I'm not going to be eating in the cafeteria every single day. So I'm going to assume that she has good attendance. So we're going to go 3 weeks, 5 days a week. So the total days is going to be 15. So I didn't set this up very well because I'm going to mark over some stuff. So my total number of days is 15 days. I'm given the $4.35 a day. And so now I just need to find my answer. I'm going to do it off the side here so I can rewrite it a little cleaner. All Alright, 5 times 5 is 25, carry the 2. 5 times 3 is 15, plus 2 is 17, carry the 1. 5 times 4 is 20, plus 1 is 21. Put down my placeholder. 1 times 5 is 5, 1 times 3 is 3, 1 times 4 is 4. 5 plus 0 is 5, 7 plus 5 is 12, carry the 1. 1 plus 1 plus 3 is 5, and 6 plus 4 is 6. Two numbers to the right of the decimal, so my answer choice needs to have two numbers to the right of the decimal. And I get $65.25. All right. Michael and Kareem both work at home to earn extra money. Michael earns $25 each week. Kareem only earns $15.25 each week. After 3 weeks, how much more money will Michael earn than Kareem? So, I need to find the difference between, and it tells me that Michael's going to make more. So Michael's money minus Kareem's money. And that'll give me the difference. So they're both going to work for 3 weeks. They're each getting paid per week. So we've got each week here on both. So that's good news. So for Michael, he earns $24.50 per week for the 3 weeks. And Kareem earns $15.25 per week for the 3 weeks. And then we'll subtract the two totals. 3 times 0 is 0, 3 times 5 is 15, carry the 1, 3 times 4 is 12, plus 1 is 13, carry the 1, 3 times 2 is 6, plus 1 is 7. Two numbers to the right of the decimal, so my answer needs to have two numbers to the right. 3 times 5, 15, carry the 1, 3 times 2, 6, plus 1 is 7. 3 times 5, 15, carry the 1, 3 times 1, 3, plus 1 is 4. Again, two numbers to the right of the decimal, so my answer needs two numbers to the right. All right, so we've got Michael's total. And we've got Kareem's total. And now we got to find the difference of the two. Go ahead and regroup here. Looks like I'm going to have to go all the way across. All right, 10 minus 5 is 5, 14 minus 7 is 7. Got to make sure my decimals are lined up when I'm adding and subtracting with decimals. 12 minus 5 is 7, 6 minus 4 is 2. So, Michael makes $27.75 more. All right, final question, and it's a model question, very similar to the one we looked at earlier, just some slightly different numbers. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now I can treat this as 7/10 or 70 hundredths. It does not matter. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Same here. And I think when I do the multiplication, I'm just going to do it in tenths. Less numbers means less chance of error. So 6 times 7 gives me 42. Two numbers to the right of the decimal, so my answer needs two numbers to the right. Now it also tells me to write an equation for this, and so really I should have started with, we'll just call it S for shaded. Really should have said S equals 0.7 times 0.6. Kind of went out of order there, because it tells me to write and solve an equation.